Hi folks, Steve Composer here at the Adventuring and Camping School in Northeast Thailand. I'm just continuing a series of videos talking about water, the types of water, hydration, how to stay hydrated, dehydration, avoiding dehydration, and the nutrients, minerals and electrolytes that you need in your body from food or water. And also the problems of losing those minerals if you're sweating too much, especially in hot environments. I'm just going to go through a series of points here. It's a combination of hours and hours of research. I'm going to keep this video as short and as sharp as possible so I don't lose people's interest. If I went through all my information, it'll take hours of work, so let's go. I've got 10 main points that I want to get through here. Point number one is, of course, water. There are two main things you need to know. Water and nutrients and minerals. Now the body needs those nutrients, minerals or electrolytes for healthy body functions. That's an absolute fact and a certainty. Now you do usually get all those minerals and so forth from the foods you eat, but what you have to realise is in an emergency survival situation, you're simply not going to be eating, or you're not going to be eating much, if at all, and you're certainly not going to be eating a healthy, balanced diet. So that's the key here. You still need those minerals and nutrients for your body, for your blood, for your cells and metabolism and healthy body functions. Of course, you need water as well. Now what's going to be happening is you're going to be losing those minerals. We all know you sweat a lot, and this applies, as I said, in a hot environment, which is timely for me. It's the hot season here in Thailand in the tropics, so I'm talking from personal first-hand experience here. You're going to be losing all those minerals through sweat and so forth. This also applies to any sort of a camping survival situation. Camping is the same as survival because you're using survival skills. We survive every day. The day you're born, you survive until you die. So camping is the same as survival. But emergency survival situations are a bit different. That's where there's a question mark ahead. There's a grey area. You're not too sure what's going to happen and you're in emergency survival mode. But in those emergency survival situations, and even just camping, bushcraft, survival situations, that's basically like a sports event. You're using up more energy and sweating more perhaps than even a sports activity or going to the gym for an hour. You go to a gym for an hour, you're going to be drinking, you go home, relax, drink and so forth. But in some survival situation, when you're out there in the wild, in the environment all day, you don't have that luxury to relax or something. You're going to be in that hot environment like a sports activity all day, and then you're potentially working. Don't forget you're going to be working, building shelters, looking for resources, building fires. That just compounds and adds another level to your emergency situation. So you need to replace all those minerals and electrolytes that you lose. The emergency survival situation was point number two. So if we move on to point number three, we basically established that you need those minerals to replace those minerals in your body which you're going to lose through sweat. There could be a concern about drinking just freshly collected rainwater and distilled water on a medium to long-term basis, especially if you're not eating, getting those nutrients back, or minerals is a better word for it, and electrolytes back through food. If you're drinking rainwater and distilled water, you're not getting those minerals back. That could be a problem in the medium to long term. Even after 1 or 2 days, if you're sweating a lot, not eating and just drinking rainwater and distilled water, that could be a concern as well. So point number four, we can talk about how much you need to drink. And basically, you need to drink to your thirst. You let thirst levels be an indicator. You drink as required, as necessary, when you feel that sensation to thirst. Now, I'm not talking about you get to a state where you're half dehydrated, half collapsed, you're really thirsty, you're about to die, then oh, I've got to drink. I'm just talking about that sensation to thirst. That's when you drink. Because there is opposite advice, and there are some survival experts out there, and even some peak bodies like the American College of Sports Medicine, sponsored by Gatorade, and the Olympics Authority, for example, who will advise to drink as much as possible, as much as you can handle, always drinking. And they're the sort of people you see with water bottles in their hands all day, in the office and so forth, like this, a water bottle, always drinking all day. That's unnecessary. In most general situations, you drink to thirst. And I believe the balance of medical advice out there is exactly what I said. There's plenty of evidence and scientific evidence and medical advice that disputes the idea of always drinking and water loading. It's also not possible to dictate how much people can drink. Everyone's body size is different. Everyone needs different amounts of water and food. Our metabolism is different. We need different amounts of water. You can't dictate everyone needs to drink X number of litres of water or a pint of water or a quart of water before you head out for a survival class or something. So that's another important factor. So if we keep moving on to point 5, more activity means more drinking. That's pretty obvious, okay? If you're out there, and the next point's crucial as well. You just drink more if it's hotter, if you're sweating more, if you're working, you're drinking more. And that leads on to point number 6. You monitor 4 key indicators at all times. The first key indicator is your thirst levels. Watching your thirst when you need to drink. Don't forget, if you're really dehydrated, you don't get thirsty anymore. It's sort of like hypothermia, where you get really freezing cold, you get to a point where you feel hot, people take their clothes off and walk out into the snow and die. That's what happens. So the first key indicator is your thirst levels, but the second key indicator you need to look out for as well is your urine colour. The darker the urine, the more dehydrated you are, the more you need to drink. The lighter colour is the more hydrated, and obviously the more you've been drinking. The third thing you need to monitor is just how much you're sweating, how much energy you're expending, how hot the temperature is. Again, that's from the previous point. In point number 5 was the more activity you do, the more drinking you do. But temperature, your activity, and how much you sweat are big factors to watch out for. If you're working, you keep drinking. If you're sweating in a hot environment and so forth. And the fourth key indicator to look out for is the dehydration symptoms. And I'm just going to read out symptoms here. If you're overly thirsty, you've got a very dry mouth. If you get dizzy, lightheaded, if you stand up too quickly, you feel like fainting, you get like dry deposits in the eyes, like sleep, lethargy, being very tired, a changed mental state. It can affect your mind. You get irritable, you can get angry at small things and so forth. It affects your balance and gait. You get a headache, obviously, and you get a faster heartbeat. If you're aware of a pounding heartbeat in your chest, they're all symptoms of dehydration that you need to look out for. So at all times, if you monitor those 4 key indicators, that's really good, because, as I said, sometimes you may forget to drink. You may not feel thirsty if you're really dehydrated, but if you monitor all those 4 different factors, you're going to be able to get the water back in and hydrate.